On today's episode of An Echo of Glory, we talk about the goings on at the club this week and talk in depth about the youth team with expert John Wenham. Welcome to An Echo of Glory. Joining me once again is Gary Diamond.
Good afternoon.
And a big debut hello to John Wenham.
Hello.
Youth team expert. And we've got some breaking news, and I think best to throw to you for this.
Yeah, many thanks. So, pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me. So the under-21s are no longer being relegated. That is quite big news.
A positive at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, for once. Yeah. And, they were set in their mind they were going down. They had the disappointing final day where they actually did their job and they beat West Ham 1-0 with Lucas playing, with his Brazilian contingent watching on, of Richarlison and Emerson Royal. But they went down on goal difference in the end, and that was very frustrating. I know the club were very disappointed. You don't build the facilities at Hotspur Way to not be in the top division. So that was a bad day for the club, and obviously Lucas delivered an emotional speech to the players after, telling them they'd come straight back up and they would do well and not to worry about it too much. But now Tottenham have had this blessing today come through that they will not be relegated, as that it's only going to be one division that will encompass all 25 Category A clubs. It will be so there won't be 50 games. It will be done in a kind of seedings and pots. I believe it's 21 fixtures plus a playoff.
Will it be regional?
Yeah, so it starts off regional plus one or two others based on a seeding system. Right. All the details aren't out as yet, but for Tottenham, they'll be delighted to keep the London derbies against West Ham, Arsenal and Chelsea and not do the 16-hour coach journeys all the time to the likes of Middlesbrough and Sunderland, which I know the players were very worried about. So great news for Tottenham, this.
How did the relegation go down at the club? Were they excuse the pun? Were they frustrated by that? Was that bad news, or was it just okay? This can happen. These are kids.
No, it was definitely bad news. You can see that from the likes of Lucas, being asked to step down and play. Others like Alfie Whiteman, who returned from loan, was instantly put in the team, seen as someone with first team experience and that sort of thing. So Tottenham were definitely frustrated by this and did their best to stay up. The players thought they would stay up. That was the message I was getting from the players I speak with. As I said, the first half of the season killed them. They had some really disappointing results. From January onwards, it seemed to turn. Went to Liverpool, won 4-0, went to Arsenal and won, went to Man City and got a very good result. So the players thought they would do it and stay up, but they were killed by this defeat at Blackburn, unfortunately, where they were 2-0 up. Romain Mundle, Lucas Moura scoring two very good goals. Second half, they collapsed and lost 3-2, which was very disappointing.
But alas, we stay up.
We stay up.
And finally, some comeuppance for going down when we stayed up and Arsenal took our place. Not really. But
we'll take it.
We'll have it.
So look, John, we got you on primarily, I'd say, to talk about the youth team as you know it so well, and we will come back to it. But we'll do what we always do, which is do a bit of club news. And there's been a lot of club news this week. Start with the international roundup. Harry Kane stat padding again. Disgusting. And he only scoring those penalties against inferior opposition. How dare he score 58 England goals?
But Saka was amazing, by the way.
Saka was amazing. To be fair, that was a phenomenal hat-trick.
And he's such a nice guy as well, which is the other pain about it a little bit. He's a lovely chap.
It's nice to see. He plays for Arsenal, fine, but he's a fantastic player, great for England, and what a hat-trick that was. But let's not have that's a fantastic hat-trick, but Kane stat pads.
Yeah, Kane and his stat pads. And someone who's not stat padding is Richarlison. I don't know if you saw it. He played against Guinea. Went through one-on-one, delayed, dallied, defender came, drew the defender, faffed about, didn't score. A man is just completely shot of confidence at the moment. I think him playing for Brazil this week is probably a good thing. He's barely played any football, but a little bit of a worry. Richarlison's form during the season and even the other night.
My sort of defence for him throughout the season was he hasn't actually played very much. There was a couple of big injuries.
Much less in his preferred position.
Yeah, out on the left wing and things like that. So he wasn't playing as a central striker. And obviously, it's worth remembering with Kane, there's a lot of talk, he has lots of ankle injuries. He's not actually had an ankle injury now for about 3.5 years. Since he's
don't say that.
Physio.
Touch wood.
Yeah, he seems to have left that behind him.
We all shit ourselves when he got the head injury, right?
Yeah. I was literally Googling how long out fractured cheekbone.
I think Richarlison, I still think he'll come good. I think in a pressing system under Ange, I think we'll see a better player, more settled in play. And he has had a couple of great moments. Those headers against Marseille, that goal at Liverpool. Obviously, what happened after was very disappointing for everyone. But I still back Richarlison to come good, 100%.
Can I ask you? I know I keep saying we're going to come back to the youth team, but a question just popped into my head, so I'm going to ask it. You talked about Ange in a pressing system might work for Richarlison. How much do the youth team, are they supposed to play the same as the first team?
Right. They haven't done, much to my frustration, for the last 4 or 5 years.
So there's been a different philosophy running through the club at different levels.
Formations. 18s playing a different formation to the 21s.
Do
So
you
you're
happen
not going to get... sorry, because it shocks me, because then what that then means is that you don't automatically... The fact the way it should operate for me is players should be ready to step in and understand. So that's not what's been going on.
And do you happen to know if other clubs will play... We play like that in the men's, and that's how you're going to play.
City, for example.
Well, I would say City clearly do, and probably
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Because look at Rico Lewis. They plucked him out of the
smooth
18s
transition
to the first team. I think he even skipped the 21s, maybe 2 or 3 games, skipped it and went straight in because he was used to playing in that high press, high style formation they do in the first team. So I think at Tottenham there is talk that it's going to change. I think Ange has already made a statement that he will look for the younger teams to play in a similar style. So hopefully that runs through the club.
Good. A player... Go on.
No, I was just going to say it should do. That's what
absolutely should do. A player who also played 240 odd minutes this week, Perisic. That Croatia team seems to go on and on, and they keep winning. I know they didn't win the Nations League, but they go on, and it's the same players every week. I don't know how much Perisic is going to be part of Ange's squad.
He played at left back, which Stellini got absolute pelters for. In the defeat to Newcastle, he played very, very well. Just question what goes on, but I kind of feel like too much talk of Perisic might be a waste of time for the reason you say I can't see him at the club next season. Can you?
No, I mean, look, the stats, if you just were looking at a stats percentage of him, 11 assists. Yeah. It puts him well above
set pieces.
Some phenomenal players in the league, but they're all corners or...
he's got great delivery.
Great delivery, but the pace isn't there, is it?
No.
And it killed us on a couple of occasions last year. I think on 180,000 a week, if we can move him on without paying any percentage of that wages, then he should go.
Yeah. Another left-sided player struggled this week. Ben Davies didn't play last night. They lost to Turkey. Got beaten 4-2 at home by Armenia.
Terrible result.
He was actually poor.
In a defence with Joe Roden.
Let's talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Also on the international duty, Højbjerg had a really good night for Slovenia. I was actually working last night, and I get to see all the games on the big screen all split up, and I was keeping my eye on Højbjerg. He had a really good game.
What's always struck me about Højbjerg playing at international level is he seems to be more in an 8 role.
Like slightly further forward,
but he does seem to be in a more of an 8 or a more advanced role, rather than the sort of defensive anchor that we see.
And Denmark play quite an aggressive attacking style. They move the ball quickly. He played really well.
Because he's been the subject of a lot of transfer talk in the last week, whether he stays or goes.
This is a guy that's played 165 games for us since we signed him. So he's used by every manager we've had. I think he's an unfair scapegoat to point at him as a player to move on, whilst the club employ the likes of Giovanni Lo Celso, Tongi and Ndombele, Sergio Reguilon, players that do not contribute.
But I don't know if it was a scapegoat as much as it is a fee to bring in and rebuild around, because we're not getting fees for them.
Yeah, I mean, Lo Celso's disappointing we haven't got a fee before. Villarreal got to a Champions League semi-final and then pleaded poverty. They didn't have any money. And Tottenham, the sales actually have been absolutely horrendous. Apart from Bergwijn, we've not sold anybody good for about 5 years for a decent fee.
No, that's the problem.
Which is just really worrying.
Okay, so on that, another player on international duty, I don't think he's played yet, Son. He came out and said, I've had a hernia problem all season. Yeah. Okay, so we'll excuse him some of the performances. We've talked about this on the pod before, selling players at the right time. There's been supposed interest from Saudi. I don't want to go down the whole route of what they're doing, what they're not doing. Whether he goes to Saudi Arabia or whether he goes somewhere else, is Son, and I think you said you would, John, I wonder how you feel, if you get 60, 70, 80 million for Son, is he the kind of player we should be selling? You've got your finger up.
Before John answers,
go on.
I would,
yeah,
but only for 70 or 80, not 60.
Okay, I was going to ask him first.
Well, no, because you were saying I know you would, so I'm just saying there's my line.
But that's what we're talking about: selling players at the right time. We've not done it. If you got 80 million for Son, would you sell him?
I think, in light of Kane's contractual situation, no.
Right.
I think the money's great, and I think if we got 80 million from him on paper, that looks like a good bit of business. If Kane was in contract for 2 or 3 more years, but if within 12 months, which looks probably quite likely, unfortunately, we're losing Kane and Son. What identity do we have left as a club? Which players do you think of Tottenham, with Hugo going as well? Which players do you think of Tottenham and think, there's their star players?
Yeah, no one.
We have no star pool,
no.
right? So that's hugely worrying. I don't think as a club, when we're trying to secure stadium naming rights, when we're trying to do other things and grow the club continually, you can afford to take out your recognisable players all at one time.
That's a good point. Do you fear that I suspect, like all of us, you think Kane will stay this summer, but next summer could be a problem? Yeah,
look, unless we spend hugely this summer to really impress Kane, or unless Kane has an amazing relationship with Ange, I think even for him the best thing to do will be to let his contract run till next summer, see what options are there. It might be that no options are there for him, and he's that much of a good player and he's done that much for Tottenham that we are okay with that, and we still offer him a deal and say, look, if there isn't something, a Bayern Munich, a Real Madrid out there for you. This offer's still on the table. We would love you to sign. I don't think the fans can have any issue with that whatsoever. I think Kane has done so much for this club and stayed for such a long period of time and always given his all and always been world class. So, I think that's only fair for Tottenham to allow him to explore those opportunities that are out there. Obviously, we all pray that he stays and stays at Tottenham forever and has the statue and everything else because he deserves it. He's been amazing.
The only time for me it would ever become an issue is if he did a Campbell, but I can't see him doing that. And if he went on a free next summer to whoever it would be, not Chelsea, not Arsenal.
Yeah. Would you even think Man United? Would you be happy for him to go to United?
I'm not happy for him to go anywhere.
Okay, not happy, but you'd excuse him now. I would never want him see him wearing another Premier League shirt.
No, I wouldn't want to see that. But I think, since he clearly wanted to go to City, he has got his head screwed on. He's buckled down. He's done a really professional job. He's been an absolute leader in the team. He's hauled us up over the last couple of years, particularly under the crap we saw under Conte. Thank God for Harry Kane. So I wouldn't begrudge him anything but Chelsea or Arsenal.
So I was at an evening with Teddy Sheringham on Friday, and obviously the similarities are there. So Teddy hadn't won a major trophy, like an FA Cup or a Premier League till he was 31. And he said, I'll get a lot of criticism for this when I come out and say Kane should maybe look and move. He very rightly said, Kane has given it a long time at Tottenham, and what Sheringham wanted is probably what Kane wants. He wanted Tottenham to build around him. Sheringham loved playing for Tottenham, loved it, and wanted Tottenham to add the players around him to give him the best opportunity. So this summer it comes down to the club, hopefully, to get the recruitment right. I'm not saying they spent the money, in my opinion. They've spent loads of money.
They have.
But we need to recruit better. It's vital. So if we can get good recruitment this summer, I think Maddison and Raya would be a great start. Just as a couple of names.
Well, let's talk about Raya.
Yeah.
Talk this morning that we may not be signing Raya or looking elsewhere. And obviously Twitter's gone wild. Yeah. Why aren't we spending 40 million? Yeah. We don't know the real ins and outs. I think Raya would be a great signing. We've talked about it because he's homegrown.
Yep.
Where are you on the goalkeeper situation? Is it a free pass? We should be going to get Raya because of all the boxes that he ticks.
He ticks every box, literally. You're talking about a playing out keeper that's 26, so he's probably got 8 years in him at the top level. Yeah. Homegrown, knows the Premier League. He just ticks literally every single box. For me, it would be a phenomenal signing. But I agree, we shouldn't just because Brentford have said 40 million, hand that over. Like every other club, because if we focus on our own team so much, we never look at, when Tottenham are negotiating for players, we're happy for them to knock the price down and to work on deals. But when we're trying to buy somebody, fans just say, pay the money. Yeah. Like with Kulevetsky last week, where they wanted 35 million, Tottenham managed to get 5 million off. Why wouldn't you do that? We'd do that if I was buying a house.
Well, exactly.
Everyone else would.
I think it always strikes me that the words that are being used are Tottenham look set to pull out of the Raya deal. Yeah. And people are jumping on that as, it's done. And I quickly Googled, because I had in my mind, I seem to remember we were pulling out of the Porro deal, and it's all, who knows what's going on, who knows, and who knows what's leaked to the press to put pressure on other teams and all this. And the other thing that always strikes me is apparently it's only ever Tottenham.
Yeah, every club does it. Every single. It's only ever Tottenham because we only support Tottenham. We only follow Tottenham Twitter feeds.
Twitter's an echo chamber. It's your echo chamber, and you're absolutely right.
If I was a betting man, I would say within the next, and this I could well come back with egg on my face, prepared for that to happen. If I was a betting man, I'd say David Reyes joins Tottenham before the end of the window.
Yeah, I'm not convinced,
Why not?
Because I think someone like Chelsea would just come and pay more.
Yeah, they're the only team. And
they need a keeper.
But they're not okay. They're getting rid of one keeper, but they're keeping Arif Balaga.
Oh, nice!
Because
you completely ballsed it up in pre.
I could have gone with Kepa, but I wanted to show off. I'm not going to try it again. They're keeping Kepa. I can't see they're going to sign 40 million for another keeper when they've got a 70 million keeper there already. It's madness.
No, it doesn't seem to bother them.
Do you see them bringing in a Rob Green type to come and sit on the bench and
like Scott Carson?
Yeah, that sort of type.
It's a weird relationship they've got with Kepa, because actually I say that, but they went and signed a keeper for similar money, who they're now getting rid of. So they clearly aren't too fussed about having a 70 million keeper. They're the only club that I could potentially see going and saying to Brentford, all right, we'll pay you 40 million. Outside of that, whether Spurs get David Raya or not, if he goes for 40 million, we've made a mistake. If he doesn't go for 40 million, then clearly we haven't made a mistake.
There's some talk that we now, and you may know this to be true or not, that they're trying this whole Brentford-Brighton model, hiring some analysts to, I'm not going to call it Moneyball, but really look at the data. And this kid that was mentioned, 26-year-old that was mentioned on Twitter this morning, the guy Empoli, whose name I forget, uncapped Italian goalkeeper, 26. Okay, I've looked him up on YouTube. He made some good saves, but he would on YouTube. Yeah. How do you feel about going down that route? Because if Brighton came and signed this guy, we'd all go, we've missed it. He's obviously brilliant. if Brentford signed him, because that's their model.
So I'm not massive at all on XG and stats particularly.
Yeah.
I did see a graph though that really caught my eye, which was placing David Raya in a certain box quite high up on the top right-hand corner, which tends to show they're doing something very well. And the only one in front of him was the keeper Brentford have bought to replace him, this Flacken guy for 11 million. And it does kind of tell you something that we're looking at this guy here, who's their keeper currently, and the only one that's better than him they've already got as the replacement.
So I googled best uncapped 26-year-old goalkeepers, and this guy from Empoli came up. I hope that's not the way Spurs are doing this.
Yeah, but let's be honest though, Spurs have to do something different because the existing recruitment has been absolutely abysmal.
I agree totally, but I think, as we just said, I think David Raya is not a free hit; it's a 40 million odd hit. But I think he ticks so many boxes.
Yeah.
You mentioned another bloke that's staying, Kulusevski.
Yeah.
The latest Twitter outrage was that we saved £5 million on him. We've talked a lot on this podcast about, I don't know if you know this, John, there's a donut at the Spurs Stadium, a Lotus Biscoff donut that I've been searching for 8 weeks. Still can't find it.
Saw it on Footy Scrans, and now you're wondering
the
where
Footy
it is.
Scran.
Right.
So I'm just hoping that the £5 million we saved on Kulusevski goes into surplus.
Yeah, or more wide distribution. Could we get a donut?
Right. Don't put it in the transfer kitty, put it in the donut kitty. But look, I think we talked about Kulusevski, poor season.
Yeah.
I think we can make excuses for him, probably the way he was being made to play.
Yeah, look, after that Southampton game 1, I was confidently telling people he will score 15 league goals this season.
We all thought he was better than Saka, not to bring him up
Yeah,
again.
the finishing on Kulusevski was unbelievable. So I was really confident that he would go on and have a fantastic season.
Yeah.
I know he cited some injuries at the break of the World Cup and feeling very low around the club. So, yeah, look, it was a disappointing season for him, but at 23, I believe he is now.
Oh,
I think it's a no-brainer on the money.
I said in this pod a couple of weeks ago, I hope he's one that we do actually go and keep, because I think he's worth his weight in gold. And I think in a more progressive team, an attacking team where he's getting one-on-one with the fullback a lot more rather than playing on the halfway line back to goal. Same what Son suffered from this season. He suffered hernia. I think he suffered from somebody up his arse every game. But once you get Son and Kulusevski higher up the pitch one-on-one with their fullbacks, you're going to see completely different players. And Kulusevski is at his destructive best in those moments. And another point I made, people the highlight of Kulusevski's season for me was when he came on and turned the game around at home against Leeds, and that's when we were trading and we had to go at them, and Kulusevski was higher up the pitch and he absolutely destroyed them that game. He came on and won that game for us single-handed, and I expect to see a lot more of that from him next season. So I'm feeling really positive that he's staying, and he clearly wanted to stay, which is also nice.
Another thing you were pleased about, Gary, you've not stopped going on about this, is the clock has returned outside the stadium. We all love a bit of history, but you specifically, I know, were very pleased about it.
I think as much, one of the great things about the stadium for me is that it's on the same footprint as the old White Hart Lane. And I think the stadium itself is a debate and a conversation, because there's been a lot said about it since we moved in. So the clock to me is just a symbol of the continuance of wanting to keep an attachment to our past, the continuance of this stadium. People say there's not enough connection to Tottenham Hotspur. It's an entertainment centre. I completely disagree. I kind of feel that you mentioned the sponsorship earlier, John. I think one of the reasons we haven't got that sponsorship is because the brand name globally means more and is bigger for the club, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, than a 20 million a season sponsorship. Okay, so the clock is another symbol of that history. The club was formed underneath that clock, and I think it's a great attachment to the stadium, to the club, and the more that we do, I love things like, for example, the original brickwork of the east stand in the stadium. I love that you've got the
crushed aggregate.
The crushed aggregate. That's
You're a crushed aggregate
I had
man.
Corrugated in my head, but the crushed aggregate of White Hart Lane. I was one of the first into the stadium against Palace. I was like one of those nerds that I was like waiting for the turnstiles to open, and I went straight to the centre spot, and I got quite emotional, and I've got a picture of me with tears in my eyes at the old centre spot of White Hart Lane. Yeah. How people can say there isn't attachment with this stadium to Tottenham Hotspur because we don't see THFC spread all over the seats or whatever, it is mad to me.
People got very frustrated that Levy or the club won't call it White Hart Lane. People get annoyed by that. I think it's, as you said, Gary, it's very important for people to feel we very much lean on our history at Tottenham. We kind of have to. And I think it's great to see things like that come back. Yeah.
I mean, one issue that I did have the club were trying to propose away from the stadium was the renaming of White Hart Lane Station, to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think they were going to call it, or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Station. Yeah. I think that was wrong because White Hart Lane Station is a place, or the White Hart Lane area, or where it is. So that would have been
as is Gillespie Road, by the way.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah, generally, I mean, I hope the Bill Nicholson gates follow as well, because we've all had, great times walking past there and past old Rudolph Valentino's on the
Yeah. God, yeah.
Sticky carpets, if you remember that. That's all part of our history, That's all part of growing up and being a Tottenham fan. So I hope that does come back as well. But yeah, I'm pleased to see that the clock come back and make a welcome return.
And I think another aspect of the whole stadium issue has been people aren't feeling connected with it yet because they're feeling that the atmosphere isn't in the stadium. And that's something I want to just discuss briefly, because that indeed ties into another bit of club news, which is the fan survey. And the atmosphere, and the question of atmosphere came into that. And one of the questions was, how do we improve the atmosphere within the stadium? And I think once you do get bigger, better atmosphere in the stadium, people will start to really feel like the place is home. Now,
Can I tell you what my answer was?
Please do, and I'll tell you what mine was straight
I just wrote, score some sodding goals.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote, get a team playing front foot, progressive football that the crowd feel connected to, and you will suddenly see a switch in atmosphere.
Sorry, do you know what I've always found with Tottenham? And I've always found this for the 25, 30 years I've been going over there. When the atmosphere needs to be good, it's phenomenal.
Yep.
Right? We all remember those nights against Inter Milan at the old White Hart Lane.
But Arsenal, too, like I could say last season, but not the season just gone, and one before, that was incredible. The Arsenal game.
There
have been
Man
incredible
City Champions League games.
Manchester
so noisy.
Nuno's first game, when Kane didn't play,
when we turned on him a little bit. Let's be honest.
But the atmosphere in the stadium that day was it was poisonous towards City.
You say we turned on him. We felt together because this is our club, Harry. Hang on.
And it was against City as well, who'd been the I can't remember the word I'm trying to say.
But they were chasing it.
There was a real atmosphere. So that stadium can be
phenomenally noisy.
Yeah, and Aguero shit his pants a couple of times in front of that South Stand.
Absolutely.
So
I think that what happens when you go to most Spurs games, maybe any game, atmosphere is decent before kickoff. They sing a few songs, and so the fans will be getting behind the team. Then what's happened in the last few years is that they pass the ball around at the back, they give the ball away, probably go down 1-0 down early. It's a two-way street. Yes, we will get behind you, but there's going to be times where you've got to. The impetus has got to come from the players as well.
Yeah, of course.
Play some attacking football. Yeah. We will. Like that night against Sporting when we were losing, second half battered them. We saw the tempo and we got involved in it. It can't just be. They asked that question. How do we improve the atmosphere? Like you say, it's got to come from the players. As well.
I don't think much needs to be done. White Hart Lane, people have this. It's like remembering an old girlfriend and putting her on a pedal stool, right? And people remember the good times. White Hart Lane was my temple. It's my religion is Tottenham Hotspur, and White Hart Lane was my synagogue, my church, my mosque. Right? Call it what you like. So I was devastated to see the old goal torn down, but let's not fantalise what it was. Okay, it was fantastic when it was at its rawsome best. But I remember losing 1-0 against Hull, and you could hear a pin drop throughout the whole game because it was dull and shit. Right? The new stadium's exactly the same. Every stadium up Anfield. Oh, Anfield, this amazing atmosphere. It's the same. I've been to Anfield and it's been dull as hell. I've been to Anfield when it's been like
electric. Get in there and you're panicking.
It's the same. It's all about the energy you draw from the team.
And the fixture. You can't force Tottenham against Burnley to have 90 minutes of relentless singing.
Correct.
Okay, you cannot. Now I get there's groups on Twitter that say, "Oh, but it should be like that for every game." Well, it just won't be, and it isn't anywhere.
Yeah. But Dortmund they are. It's a little bit forced for me, the whole Dortmund.
Yeah, but I've been to Dortmund, and it's not great anyway. There's games, I'm sure, when it is brilliant and it gets them over the line, like Anfield, like we just said, and like at the Tottenham Stadium, they've done it. But it's not. You can't force a constant atmosphere all the time. The club are doing small things. I know there's a group that have got a row of 50 seats now together in the South Stand who've got an idea of singing. They lodged it or trialled it for the Portsmouth game in the Cup, so that's happened. Obviously, there's the groups with the flags and banners.
I'm all for all of these sorts of things, all of it. But it comes down to a connection with the team and the fans drawing the energy from the football that we see on the pitch. And I suspect that even if we are 6th or 7th in the league this season, but we're seeing a team playing a brand of football we're connected
we will get behind it.
And we're building and we're integrating new players into the team. Yeah. I guarantee the atmosphere will be infinitely better than we've known under Mourinho or Conte, who have been the two main managers in the stadium playing dull defensive football, by the way. So there you go.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right. Moving on. Club news out of the way. John, got you on. I'll call Gary an expert. He's, that's why I get him on. But you're a real expert. I just want to know, we see you on Twitter as Lady White Rose. You know a lot about the youth team. Just first of all, an insight into how you got into that, what you do, how many games you go and see, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I lived in Enfield for 5 years. And when I did, I lived kind of a stone's throw away from Hotspur Way. you can just go up there, wander in and watch under-18s, under-21s games.
So that's interesting because I actually live very near the Arsenal training ground.
Yep.
Obviously, I don't go, but and then it's sort of Watford training ground. Those things, those feel
Produce
like those feel like closed shops. So actually, it's not a closed shop.
Well, for Arsenal, it actually is a closed shop.
Okay.
They had one of Beckham's sons there a couple of years back.
Right.
Since that point, there was too many journalists, other people going in there, and it became chaos for the players, basically. Since they had Beckham's son, they banned it at Arsenal, so you cannot go.
Okay.
So if you're a Tottenham fan wanting to go, unless you're a player's relative, you can't go. I don't know about Watford, but for Spurs, it is still an open door. Right. Apart from, I get this message in my DMs all the time, how do I go to games? How do you go to so many games? What are the club allowing you to go for? They're not allowing me to go, I just turn up and go. Right. And unless you turn up with scarves, a camera around your neck, that sort of thing, you will be banned and told you can't come in. Otherwise, just walk straight in, act like you know what you're doing, and you'll be good to go. And you can come in and support the lads, and they appreciate you being there.
Right.
Okay.
And these games are played mostly when?
It's a mixture. So the under-18s games are always kind of Saturday mornings, 11:30, 11 o'clock. Under-21s can either be Friday nights if they play them at Stevenage, but if they do play them at Hotspur Way, they can be Tuesday afternoons, kind of lunchtime, or the occasional Saturday or Sunday game.
Okay. All right, so let's go on to this season. Mixed bag. 17s and 18s win a trophy.
Yep.
21s get relegated, although, as you've told us, they're not getting relegated, but they had a difficult season. Talk to us, a little overview of the season.
Yeah. So in terms of a crop of players, I'm probably most excited about this group going back 15 years. I'm going back to the group that had Townsend, Coulter, Mason, Kane, Adam Smith.
Bentaleb.
Bentaleb a little bit later, Bentaleb, but that group, in terms of how excited I am, that group, we were sending them out to Yeovil at 17. We had a point where we had Obika, Coulter, Mason, Townsend all out on loan at 17, 18. Yeah. 3 of the 4 have become full England internationals. Yeah. That's the level of players I think we've got now in this group. So it starts from the back where you've got Luca Gunter in goal, very, very good keeper, outstandingly good for under-18s football actually, probably regarded as the best 16, 17-year-old keeper in the country, first choice for England at that age group. Then you've got Alfie Dorrington in front of him, big strapping centre half of the Michael Dawson era, but also can play. We saw his goal at Villa in the under-18s final.
The second goal I sent it to you this week.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Vertonghen-esque
carrying
the ball.
Carrying the ball forward like that.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely brilliant. Of the 2 I've mentioned so far, massive Tottenham fans, both of them. Die-hard fans. Alfie Dorrington, born in Edmonton, came through a team at Cockfosters. Couldn't be any more local.
And Donnelly as well is a big Spurs fan, and he's another one.
Moving down the team, Jamie Donnelly, as a striker, can play also as a number 10. That might end up being his best position, actually. Can do everything. Left foot, score penalties. So passionate, comes off if we won't win, incredibly upset like a fan would. He's brilliant. He cares.
I used to cry in the playground if we lost, so I get that.
yeah. So it's great to have these players that really care. And then in midfield, we've got 2 boys. Tyrese Hall made phenomenal progress. Phenomenal progress this year. Was on a standby list for England for the most recent call-ups. But actually, Jamaica have made advances in calling up to their senior team.
Oh, wow.
He's over there at the moment. I don't know how much the club know about this, but he's over there at the moment sorting out documents to play for Jamaica's first team.
Oh, wow.
So he's making rapid progress as a 17-year-old. Really good central midfielder. One of those players that always has time on the ball. He'll set the tempo. He won't be rushed into decisions. He'll look up, find the pass. He won't let anything rush him. Forward passes, no going backwards. Really, really like him.
I'm desperate to ask you.
Yeah.
Because it was in the news this week as another bit of club news, was Mikey Moore's contract.
Yeah.
And this is a big topic of conversation as well, because Spurs apparently are ripping up how they're going about the youth system and contracts and so on. So tell us about Mikey Moore and then tell us about the contract.
So the contract situation with Mikey was really interesting. So last Wednesday I was at the shirt launch event at Ali Pali that was hosted by Nike, not by Tottenham. Mikey at that point had not signed. So there was pictures going around of Mikey in the Tottenham new kit, but he hadn't signed at that point. So that could have gone one or two ways.
So a week later, he could have been in a City shirt.
Or Chelsea, as the rumours are to believe that Chelsea made the big move for him.
Oh, yeah.
Mikey and his family have made it clear from the outset that they love him playing at Tottenham. He's getting phenomenal opportunities. You don't see many 15-year-olds playing 6 UEFA Youth League, Champions League matches, which is an under-19s tournament. He's trained with the first team, plays with the 21s. Alan Shearer came in for a picture day with Harry Kane, and they got the best of the academy out for the picture with him. So you had Kane, Shearer, Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly, Alfie Devine in this picture.
Wow.
So they've shown Mikey that they do value him highly, and the fact that he's training with the first team, he is phenomenal. This isn't a clip kid from YouTube that people are getting excited about doing hundreds of kick-ups, and he is phenomenal. He's really strong and aggressive. You don't see 15-year-olds holding off boys that are 18 and pushing them to the floor with body strength, and also having quick feet and skillful sets of moves. So I am really impressed with him. He is a big Millwall fan. not Tottenham,
Right.
but. He retweeted one of my tweets a while back saying Chelsea get battered everower they go.
There you go.
He did into everyone.
He's in. Yeah,
So
we
he's
love
in.
him.
We love him.
Okay, Spurs.
Yeah.
I think it's important as well, though. They're growing up in an environment where they have core Spurs supporters there. The keeper, Donington and Donnelly.
And Donnelly, and there's others as well.
Donington,
And I think that's massively important. I think that
Yeah.
plays into the ethos of the club.
Yeah.
There was a time a while back which killed me when I went into Hotspur Way and there was a younger age group who'd been playing earlier in the day and they're watching Arsenal-Everton on the big screen in the foyer. And Danny Welbeck equalised for Arsenal, and there was a kind of celebration among some of the younger players.
No.
And I thought to
The
myself,
wrong culture.
imagine if this was at Real Madrid, you'd be out.
Yeah.
There'd be no hanging about. You would be out. You'd be told it's all cancelled and it's off, you know. And it's different philosophies at different clubs. I get that, but that frustrated the hell out of me, just as a supporter
100%.
seeing that,
Yeah.
you know. And I get where we are, and people will support different clubs and all that kind of thing. But that really did frustrate me. But to see this team now have so many key players that are diehard Tottenham fans, and it's drilled into them that it's everything to play for this club, I think is massive.
So what's changed that we've been able to keep some of these players?
Okay, so Paratici last summer saw us lose 2 boys to Southampton. They got paid an astronomical amount of money.
Who were they?
Jayden Magoma and Sam Ammo. Now, Sam Ammo came on against Liverpool last game of the season for Southampton and looked really good. So it does kill me that we could have had a front three of Sam Ammo, Jamie Donnelly and Mikey Moore. I mean, we'd have our name being engraved on that FA Youth Cup already. So that does kill me that he went, but look, the money was on offer. And the argument I always put forward for players leaving is, it's easy for us to say, oh, we want you to stay at Tottenham and the pathway's here and blah, blah. If you're a parent and you've given up since the kid was 8 or 9, your work commitments to drive them to Hotspur Way 3-4 times a week for training and then on weekends for matches. If someone offers you, say, £6,500 a week, which is £1 million a year, at 16 to come and play for another team, you're going to do it.
You're going.
Okay? Because you've given up a lot already.
Yeah.
There is no guarantees in football that at 17 you still like football or you're injured or you get into other stuff.
Yep.
So if the offer's there and you're guaranteed a 3-year contract at that age, I find it difficult for people to say they wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
But we get frustrated as fans, why are we losing our best players? Because Tottenham had a philosophy under John McDermott that we wouldn't offer that kind of money. Okay? We wanted to keep the players hungry until they got to a certain stage that we will not match those sort of crazy salaries that the Chelseas, the Man Cities and seemingly even Southampton are offering. That's changed now. Tottenham have realised if everyone else is doing it, we need to get with the times or we're going to just fall behind.
You've talked about players being born in cockfosters and playing for their local club, which is great. We all want that, one of our own. But the net is widened, isn't it?
Has widened.
City are coming and buying these players.
Yeah.
We're already up against it with Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea on
But
our
now-
doorstep.
We've already done it with Alfie Devine, though, haven't we? Taken advantage of that and brought him up down
Wigan.
south from up north, haven't we?
Yeah. No, we have taken advantage of it. But the recruitment now and the battling we've got now is unheard of compared to recent times. You've now got clubs like Wolves employing full-time North London scouts. Okay, so you're not just battling the Man Cities and the Man United.
They're all doing it.
They're all doing it, and they will all fight you tooth and nail to get each player. They've all got multiple scouts. Things like Instagram have actually opened up the door, no end, to tapping up of players and things like that as well, which is a bigger problem because it gives direct access to players where that isn't allowed under the rules and regulations.
No.
But that is obviously happening because every time I go down to Hotspur Way now, there is an army of scouts down there, and even scouts from your Eredivisie clubs, your Bundesliga clubs, etc. It's exploded, this whole, since the Jadon Sancho transfer and others, Noni Madueke and others.
Yeah, it's a pathway now, the Bundesliga, very much so.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably see Romain Mundle. He's got offers from Utrecht.
Let's talk about Romain Mundle because there's been a bit of discontinuation around Spurs fans that Mundle's gone. How good is he, and is he a big loss?
Okay, had he gone last summer, absolutely nobody that watches youth football at Tottenham would have batted too much of an eyelid. He wasn't in the team. They were starting with Mark Handy and Jack Clark, who have both gone on and played Championship football this season. Mark Handy going for $1 million and Clark now linked with 15 million moves. So he was behind them, okay? When they left, it opened up a door for him and Santiago Alonso to come in, two players that were not of the same ability as the two that have gone. But Mundle's development this year has been unexpected and phenomenal. He has improved no end. He's added these ridiculous goals to his game, but also a real work ethic for the team. Previously, there was a lot of picking up the ball, dribbling and shooting over the bar from angles you were never going to score from. Now they're going into the top corner, so it looks brilliant. He has improved a lot this year. So Tottenham probably left in a difficult situation of he's improved a lot. We didn't make the contract offer earlier. Now it's played into his hand and his agent's hand to put him out to other clubs. But Tottenham, I was told, put a 5-year contract down for him. Now they don't do that for everybody.
Big.
You know, that they showed him that we want you to stay. Him and Divine were promoted to the first team from about March onwards, training with the first team. But look, they haven't been able to agree anything, and it seems like his mind's made up, and he will go.
Let's talk about Alfie Devine because you mentioned him again just there. I was saying on this show last week that a player that I would quite like to see us sign if we didn't get Maddison would be Alex Scott, young guy, Bristol City.
Spurs fan.
Big Spurs fan. I think it'd be great to have him here. But I know that you've got some strong opinions on Alfie Devine.
Yeah, look, whenever I've seen the two of them play together for England at 17s, 18s or 19s, I've always come off thinking Alfie Devine is the better player. Now, I get the argument that one has made 100 senior appearances and one hasn't played 100 minutes in senior football, right? I get that argument at 100%. But I just feel like with the right pathway in development and maybe loans, I think in the case of Devine, he will be as good as Alex Scott. Or better. I think the ceiling is higher, in my opinion. He just needs the opportunity. Now, with him, he was promised a loan 18 months ago. Unexpectedly, he had the loan lined up. Tottenham managed to sell Lo Celso, Ndombele and Ali all on the last day of a transfer window. He was then told, the loan's off, you're staying. We need you as part of the squad in case of injuries or anything else happening. So then it got to last summer. Again, he was promised to go on loan. He signed a new contract till 2027. So that's the club showing faith in him and him showing faith in the club.
Right.
At that point, they then kind of Tottenham moved the goalpost a little bit and said, we want you to stay because if you do 3 years in an academy, you'll count as club homegrown trained and it'll be as though you've been at Tottenham since you were 8 years old or any age. So, okay, he wasn't completely happy about that, but he agreed to stay and he's done another year with us. I think he will certainly go on loan this year because of what's happened over the past 18 months. But he'll be straight to the Championship. Right. And I look at some of the players in the Championship that play with him in that England team. So you've got the lad Tim Ironbogen, I think he's called, from Aston Villa. Went to QPR this year, starting every game. And Alex Scott being the other one, starts every game for Bristol City. I think Alfie will do the same. If they get the right loan for him, he will do a 40-game season.
And that's much better than sitting on the bench at Tottenham. Obviously, we've got fewer games this season.
We don't have any European football.
Right, so these players are going to have to go on loan. Then.
Yeah, of course. It's a point of saying, we might get 7 minutes in the Carabao Cup second round at Yeovil. Well, what if we don't get Yeovil in the second round? What if we get, a Premier League team that also finish 15th?
Palace away and get beat.
Yeah.
So is that to say that you don't see many of the youth getting a chance? I was saying last week, I'd like Alfie Dorrington to be our fifth centre-back this season. I think fans would like to see it. You've got your main two, your two behind them, and then rather than having a Sanchez, for example, we'd much rather see Dorrington. But do you think that means that there won't be these opportunities this season?
Because we've got 6 senior centre-backs at the club already, I think 2, possibly 3 of those will go. One will come in. One will stay that the mass people on Twitter and stuff won't like, but one will end up staying. Yeah. And I just don't see an opportunity of regular game time.
And where does that leave somebody like one guy that we haven't spoken about, but I think a year or two ago was getting rave reviews at centre-back, full international for Estonia, is Patsotsky. I mean, where's he?
He's had some really difficult medical conditions. So he suffered with heart conditions, actually, and a lot of time away from football.
Oh, really?
I was given a lot of time off by Tottenham, but he's got a year to go on his contract. I'm sure this year he'll be aiming to become the Under-21s main centre-back. Right. And then he'll look to earn a new deal and carry on his progression. Because they do like him. Yeah. And he was progressing well, as you said. Under Nuno, he had a lot of chances in pre-season. He made his debut away to Pacos in the Conference League playoffs.
That was a disaster.
Yeah, that was a disaster. But it was good for him to come in and play in that game. Yeah. So they like Patsotsky. And I think this year with Malachi Walcott going, with Marcus Murr going, the door will open up for him to become the main centre-back.
Can I just ask you, you mentioned the UEFA Youth League. I watched a bit of that last season, probably every game, actually. And I didn't know much about the 21s, and I watched them play Sporting specifically and getting played off the park.
Yep.
And I just Googled, I didn't know who the under-21s manager was, and I Googled it, Wayne Burnett. And I remember the name now, he was at Dagenham Redbridge, and I'm looking at it, and this is just my opinion, and I want you to tell me I'm wrong. I'm looking at it going, right, well, he's come out of the National League, or wherever Dagenham Redbridge were playing at that time. I'm thinking, do I want this guy to manage our under-21s? And I'm looking at it going, they're not passing the ball to each other. Is this because of him? It must be because of him. Tell me I'm wrong. And actually, Wayne Burnett, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm not so bothered about that. Is he the right man for the 21s?
Yeah, look, on this season alone, you'd say they've got relegated and it would be a time for looking at other options. And I know that Chris Powell's employed at the club, for example. There are other options there. But I know the players do respect Wayne and enjoy working for Wayne.
That's great.
And appreciate his knowledge of the game, his contact in the game. He knows a lot of people. I know Tottenham are looking potentially at bringing in to replace Dean Rastrick. There's a guy that was at Southend for a number of years. Ricky Jones, I think it might be. He knows Wayne, so there are other connections with Wayne at the club.
It's all about the club connecting from top to bottom. We've talked about that, off the pitch and on the pitch. There were some stories last season that young players coming in being used as traffic cones or cones in senior training. That might be common across the Premier League. I don't know. But it doesn't sound great.
Yeah, and that was happening.
Right.
I know that a couple of academy boys did full sessions with the academy, and then at about 3 PM, they were sort of getting changed, ready to go home, having done their day, and being told, with 5 minutes notice, oh, you're up with Conte in the senior squad. Okay, so they've done a full session, been running to the ground all day. How can you impress having done your full session already? You are knackered. You've done a whole session and you've been asked to do another one.
It's their welfare as well.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
We had a revelation, in my view, about Conte last week on this show, where we were told that Conte would only the night before, between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the evening, tell the players what the schedule would be the next day. Does this feed into that sort of last-minute lack of planning, it seems, from Conte?
Yeah, I think it certainly does. I think it was actually unfair on players to get in the right mindset, to push on and to, training in the first team should be an amazing opportunity for a young player. It should be something you thrive for and want to do. It shouldn't be told 5 minutes before you're on, huge amounts of pressure, and then all you're doing is being put in the middle of the rondo and it's never swapping.
How was Jose with the youth team?
Better than Conte. And I think you've only got to look at the amount of people he gave debuts to and the things he said in the press. So, he said, maybe tongue-in-cheek, that Dane Scarlett was an outsider for the Qatar World Cup that's just gone.
He did say, yeah.
He gave him his debut, involved him, gave Divine his debut, and obviously he scored in that. He involved Harvey White quite a lot in the Europa League. Alfie Whiteman a debut, Marcel Lavinia, Niall John. He did involve the youth players quite a lot, and they liked him. The message I got from the youth players was they liked Jose, and they saw him as quite funny, and he could kind of relate to the kids a little bit.
Yeah,
I think the if we sum up the youth, I have the sense over the last year, and I'll go back to what you said earlier, it is the most exciting crop of players that we have had coming through the youth system in a very, very long time. I think that is demonstrated in the successes of the under-17s and under-18s. This season, where they've dominated at their levels.
And the younger age groups, the under-16s, coached by Yaya Toure. Now, their results aren't published.
Right.
Every time I look on Instagram, wherever, I see, 1-5-1, played hard. That sort of thing. They're winning a lot of games.
Yeah.
We're under Yaya Toure. There's another group coming that are also going to be doing well.
So it seems that there has been a big turnaround in the investment and the scouting at the setup. So if there is one area of the club which we can feel positive about at the moment, in particular, then perhaps it's that. And if you were to cite 5 players that you think could break through, would they be Alfie Devine, Alfie Dorrington, Don Lee, Mikey Moore, and I've lost one.
Now, there's a few predictable ones, like Will Lancashire, maybe, because he cost £2 million for a 17-year-old.
We haven't even discussed him yet.
Can we discuss that? Because he's such an un-Tottenham signing. We'd never have gone to Sheffield United before for a boy they've picked up for free from Arsenal just 12 months earlier. He actually is another Tottenham fan by chance, but he came through at Arsenal's academy. And he's massive. He's like,
we've got one of them in the team at the minute.
Yeah, big northern lad. He's got huge shoulders and a big back, and he charges around up front. But he can play as well, and he can score goals. And to pay £2 million for him and put him on fairly decent money was a ripping up of the traditional structure at Tottenham. Obviously, they brought a lad, Tyrell Ashcroft, the right back from Reading last summer, who'd made first team appearances for Reading. Right. He's had an unfortunate injury that ruled him out for most of the season, but he'll be pushing on this year as the under-21's main right back.
Jude Sunset-Bell,
who I've heard mixed reviews about, if I'm being totally honest with you, but I think it was a gamble from Tottenham in that Chelsea are going to let us have him for nothing. We'll take him. He's been promised he can go on loan this summer, and maybe he'll just end up being a player that we make £2 or £3 million from, rather than someone that's going to make it in Tottenham's first team. So the 5th player, for me, would be Tyrese Hall. I see a player there that's gone under the radar a little bit, but actually starts every single game for the 18s, has got an unbelievable range of passing, and he just needs to maybe work on his fitness to be able to do what he can do in the 0 to 60 minutes up until the 90 minutes, but that will come.
And where are you on Parrott and Scarlett?
You just literally, you read my mind. That's brilliant. My exact words.
How long have we known each other?
Too long.
Scarlett, I think, is a brilliant prospect. Really, really like Dan Scarlett. And I know some people just see numbers and say, he only scored 8 goals or 6 goals at Portsmouth over this, but he played 40 games at League One football as a 19-year-old as a central striker a lot of the time.
That's tough.
There's not many. I always remember an academy game against Chelsea where he rose and powered in a header past Petr Cech, who was doing a year with Chelsea at that time. There's not many. No. At the time, he was 17, scoring powerful headers past Petr Cech. Dane Scarlett is a really, really good player, another big Tottenham fan as well, who I think will end up being a very good high-level player. More loans will come for him, and I think he'll do another loan next season. And I've still got faith with him. Troy, look, every time he goes on loan, Preston kept picking him game after game. The reports are always he works his arse off, he doesn't stop running, he battles hard. There are good
Irish international, isn't he?
Yeah, 15 or 16 caps and scored some goals as well. Yeah. But he just isn't scoring enough goals. And I don't know if he's going to end up playing in a different position to an out-and-out striker. Because when he was in our academy, I was at a game at the Mini Estadi, which is the Nou Camp small version. Yeah. They hadn't lost there for about 5 years, and we rocked up and beat them 2-0. Right. And Troy was dominant at the front, up against the team that had Ansu Fati, Elix Moriba in it. Really good Barca team. Troy was absolutely dominant up front, strong, powerful, got a goal.
Anytime I've seen him, he seems to enjoy dropping deeper. I see him more as a 10 than a 9.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that reflects in his goal tally as well. But each loan he's been on, Ipswich, MK Dons, and now Preston, he just hasn't scored enough. And I think fans get frustrated with that. I think he needs a loan where he goes and gets the 15, 20 goals.
Or he needs to identify what he is as a player.
Yeah, all that.
I'm not labelling this at Parrott or Scarlett. I think you must see it a lot. Talent is one thing, but obviously for a lot of these players, it must be mental as well. It's such a difficult...
With Parrott, that's the one thing I worry about with him, more than his actual footballing ability. Yeah. It is the kind of groups he keeps away from football.
Right.
There was a period, I can say this now because time's gone, but there was a period when I lived in Bush Hill Park, which is near Enfield, and during the first lockdown, and I was just in a park having half an hour of time outside a day, and there was Troy Parrott wandering around with a group of friends playing football. And I said to Troy, if I've recognised you, there are going to be others that have recognised you. Keep your head down. You're well known at this point, and he, I think, played at Colchester for the first team a couple of months before that, and that sort of thing.
How do you respond to that?
He just kind of laughed it off and whatever. And to be fair, I didn't see him again, so maybe he did listen.
It does sound like he's settled down at Preston. He's got a few injuries as well.
But I think there's a worry at Tottenham about some of the friends he keeps away from football, but you can't marshal everything.
No.
It's easy to do in the year. So players, just for a bit of background, I think people are interested in this. So when you're in the academy, your first year you live with a host family. Now that's a family the club have vetted and worked out, and they provide you with your meals. And
it's the old style digs.
Yeah,
like
digs, there we go.
Yeah.
And they kind of look after you, and you're not allowed to bring people back or have parties and drinking, all that kind of thing. It's all really looked after, And
And what age is that?
17.
Okay.
The year after, you can either stay in digs again, or you can go and live wherever you want to live. So a lot of players do just stay in digs for a second year, because you're with another player as well.
Okay.
So the two of you are in someone's house, and
everything's done for you.
Everything's done for you to make sure you maximise your potential.
Yeah.
I think what I'd be really interested in is in the coming months, coming back and letting us know Andrew's position with the youth team, how involved he is. Are we starting to play a unified method of football throughout?
I think he's going to want that, isn't he? That's the hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'd love you to go and keep your eyes open on that.
I just one other point on the youth before we move on is Gretar Steinson and the role he's playing behind the scenes. Now, all the talk and all the indications I get is he's now the money man at Tottenham. He's the one who's making on the academy side. He's the one making the decisions on let's offer Mikey Moore X amount or let's offer Callum Olasese X amount. He's really hands on with that. And is meeting and talking to everybody, and he's a face down at the training ground. So every time you're at a game, he's there. So I think that's a positive step from the club.
That's the guy from Everton, isn't it?
Yes, Everton and Fleetwood. And scored against us for Bolton.
I remember that.
In that famous 4-2 defeat when the Pav scored a wonder goal.
Oh.
Yeah, if you remember that.
Yes.
Look, I think it's been great to have you on.
Thank you.
To get an expert opinion on this show adds so much depth. Thank you for coming on. As Gary said, we'd love to have you on again as the season goes on. I think genuinely, I'm going to come down and watch some youth team games. And I think people should do it. As you say, people can do it. And it sounds like the club are going in the right direction there. So
exciting times ahead. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And listen, brilliant. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
We will speak again. We will be back next week. Up the Spurs.